Hey folks, it's Nate, and I got something kind of like a quick cast to bring you today. Something of a review. Stay tuned. Hey, so as you can tell, here I am in my home office, hanging out. It's a work from home day. In the mail today came something I bought on eBay, and I just thought that since I had these two things related to each other in my possession now, I would give you a quick review. So, as most of you know, I don't have a huge budget for SWBCrawler.com or for the YouTube endeavor. So I've been using some sort of out-of-date camera equipment, pretty much whatever I had handy. Quite some time ago, I bought a basic GoPro Hero 1st Gen that I use for the quick casts, and I use for some of my trail videos, even use in the garage, right? And then at one point I decided to put a gimbal on my dash, which there's another video about how I did this. I'll link it in the description, or maybe I'll make a card or whatever. So this thing is a gimbal that's designed to go underneath a quadcopter or a drone to get footage and whatever. I modified it to sit this way on my dash. You can see I made this little GoPro mount for the bottom of it, clip, and the GoPro sits in there, and it keeps the camera steady while I'm on the trail. And then, of course, I needed a GoPro that fit in this because my 1st Gen GoPro Hero was incompatible with this little base. And even if I found a way to fit it in there, it wouldn't balance right, and it just was a bad thing. So I bought a cheap $50 GoPro 3/4 knockoff camera, which fits in here really well. It just slides in here, friction pretty much holds it in place. There it is. I just turned it on accident. So the one thing you can tell, so a few things about this. It is a cheap knockoff. It's meant to look like a GoPro. It's almost identical in size to the GoPro 3. And it served its purpose. The problem is the batteries in this thing was really chintzy. It says right here 4K. That's a lie. It'll do 4K, but it does it at like a ridiculously low frame rate, and the shots are pretty much blurry. They look so bad. So that's pretty much the summary of this thing. Oh, it does Wi-Fi, but I could never use it because the Wi-Fi, it literally, I connected my phone to this thing via Wi-Fi. I had an Android phone at the time, and it caused such a weird behavior on the phone that I had to wipe the phone to recover. I don't remember all the details, and you probably don't care about the details. Anyway, the point is, I paired this thing to my phone via Wi-Fi, and it just like exploded. It didn't work well. So, yeah, that's that. That's my experience with the Chinese knockoff. It did its job. Didn't do it extremely well, but it did it well enough, right? So this thing, I'm not going to say it was not money well spent. $50 versus, at the time, true GoPro Hero 3 was running over like $150 or whatever. And that was used. This thing was brand new. Like I said, it had its faults, but it did its job. It also has a screen, which is nice, so you can see what you're pointing at. That's actually really handy when you're recording in the garage, for example. You notice in some of my videos that I've done with this thing, which has no screen, that the lighting is weird, and you end up with a really dark shot, or a really bright shot, or a really hard to see shot, or whatever, or just plain old angling getting yourself in frame on these things. The fisheye on these things helps with that, but it's not perfect. So recently I decided I'm going to up my game just a little. I'm not going to spend a lot of money, but I went to eBay. You can do Craigslist, wherever. But I went to eBay to look for a used GoPro 3. And here we go. I have an actual GoPro Hero 3 Plus now. Which, again, we're talking like 4-year-old phone, or 4-year-old camera here, right? These are not by any stretch of the imagination new. it's an upgrade from what I have, and it's in my price range. I got this thing for $30, so if you're keeping track, I got it for cheaper than I bought this. I bought this, might be 2 years now that I've owned this thing. These were still $150 at the time, if you remember. Now I got this for 30-something. Now you can roughly expect to pay on the used market around $50 for one of these. I lucked out and found a deal, and now I got it. Now you'll notice there's no screen on this one either, but that's because they made up for it in, I think, quality. This thing is physically heftier than the Chinese knockoff. You can see that they're almost identical body-wise, like size-wise, but the Chinese knockoff is thicker than the real GoPro. It's also weighted better, so it fits in my thing, my gimbal, but it balances better, which is cool. Hang on. It practically balances itself, which will mean that the gimbal should not have to work as hard to keep the thing straight. Which you'll notice in some of my videos, you can hear the gimbal buzzing in the background because the Chinese knockoff wasn't balanced as well, so it wouldn't stay as well. And that's probably because this thing was designed to hold the GoPro 3, not the Chinese knockoff. The Chinese knockoff was just made to look similar to it, and it worked well enough, right? I also tried out the Wi-Fi in this thing, and it did not break my phone, which was cool. So you can fire up this thing. Hang on. This will take me a moment. I have to I should have set this up before I started, right? It uses Wi-Fi. So on my phone, I have to go and select the Wi-Fi that this thing presents, which it doesn't see yet. Oh, it's turned off. Hold on. Turn the Wi-Fi back on. Does this button do that, I think? There we go. Little blue light on the front comes on, so you can tell that the Wi-Fi is enabled, which is good, I think, because the one thing you don't want, and this is the IT pro in me speaking, you do not want this thing broadcasting a Wi-Fi SSID that people might try to break into. Okay, so the Wi-Fi is connected. I have this little GoPro app on my now iPhone, but it opens up. I had to pair it, but now I can do this. It's now paired to the GoPro, which, I mean, this is not news for people who have used a GoPro in the past 4 years. But it's new to me, which is cool. Let me close that back out and turn the Wi-Fi back off. So, yeah, that's roughly... I did take some footage with this one, with my GoPro Hero 1st Gen, and with the Chinese knockoff, which I'm going to try to give you comparisons like here. I will show you. I just basically took some video around this room so that I could just get some basic comparison. It's not outdoor footage. It's not particularly detailed or bright footage. It's just me making 30 seconds or so of each. First glance, I noticed that the fisheye on this and the fisheye on this, so this is the GoPro, this is the Chinese knockoff, the fisheye on the GoPro is a lot wider than the fisheye on the Chinese knockoff. Which is good or bad. I don't know. It depends on the sort of footage you're looking for. I am not a camera expert, so I can't tell you the specifics. I'll say they both record in 1080 pretty well. One problem I always had with the Chinese knockoff is if I was recording video with this thing, or sometimes I'll record video with two cameras at once, or like I'm doing right now, I'll record video with the GoPro. Well, I'm not recording with the GoPro, but I'll record with a camera, and I'll record audio with my voice recorder because it just picks up sound better, or I can use an external microphone. I always had problems synchronizing the Chinese knockoff with anything else. It's like audio doesn't have a frame rate. It has like a... Well, I don't know. Audio is analog, so I never understood why, but basically the audio recorded by this thing would always be off the audio of anything else. And the video recorded on this thing would always be off the video recorded on anything else. If you were to synchronize them at the same time frame, at the same point in the video, slowly this thing would drift behind, I think it was. And every time I would do it, I would have to do tricks to try to resynchronize the Chinesium footage versus the GoPro footage or versus whatever else footage I was recording. And that was always really annoying. That's one thing. I also noticed it looked like the color picked up a little better on this one than any of the other cameras. The original GoPro Hero is good. It's good enough. But the chintzy Chinese one is not. It's just kind of crappy. So I think that's it. I'm going to try to include those videos, if I didn't already, to let you guys see the comparison. Now, it's hard to compare video in a video because this video is encoded at a certain size and frame rate, and the video on the other cameras will be possibly at different sizes and frame rates. For example, if I recorded 720p on one camera and 1080p on the other camera, and then I tried to demonstrate them in the same video, it would be, whatever size I had encoded this video at. That's more than you guys need to know, but the point is, I'm going to try to show you the color depth difference and the fisheye difference. Otherwise, I mean, like I said, this comparison is probably not useful for most people. It may be useful for anyone who's in the same boat as me, where they're looking for used hardware, not brand new. Their GoPro is up to like a GoPro 7 or 8 or something now, or 9, I don't know. They have like all kinds of models now that are so much better than the GoPro 3, but again, they're out of my price range. They're a couple $100, where this was 30. So, whatever. If this benefits someone, great. If it just lets you guys see a little bit more into what I do here and how I run this channel, then that's great too. So, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Remember that if you like what I do here, you can go support me on Patreon, and if you don't want to pay, because I don't expect you to pay, but it'd be nice if people did, just subscribe. Hit the subscribe button at the bottom of the... whichever side it's on. Hit the subscribe button, because at this point, the sooner I get 1,000 subscribers, the sooner I can start tinkering with monetization on the channel itself, and you guys don't have to pay me a cent. All you gotta do is watch my videos. And you're doing that anyway, right? Anyway, have a good weekend, folks, and hopefully I'll get this thing posted tonight. If not, you'll be like, why is he saying have a good weekend? Because it's Monday already. Sorry about that. Anyway, have a good one, folks, and I'll catch you next time.